You're listening to Second Cut. This is the independent podcast where we talk about a variety of topics in film history, criticism, theory, etc. I'm Jacob, and I'm the one who is contractually not getting out of this chair.
I'm Sam, and I'm the one who has 50 gallons of Weirbays to prepare by tomorrow.
And I am Kieran. I'm the one who will give a 7-minute environmentalism speech at the end of this podcast.
Thank you.
It was going to be so much longer.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Oh my god. Yeah. So we're talking about Steven Seagal. So I chose Steven Seagal, guys, because he's a genuinely bad person, so we can make fun of him and not feel bad about it. We can just bully this pathological liar with many accusations and other bad things that he has done, and even his best movies, we will come to find out, are bad.
Yeah, I mean, I found it hilarious. I watched a review of Megan at the weekend, so obviously go check that out. It's up on our Substack now, and in it there's a hilarious kind of cutaway moment where Katie, who's now in high school, she's got, I can't remember if it's in her locker or something like that, she's got a Steven Seagal poster in there because she's now learned kind of martial arts to defend herself after obviously being almost attacked by a killer robot, so she's now defending herself. And her mother's like, Katie, and we also, and all this thing, you need to stop doing that, and we also need to talk about your unhealthy obsession with Steven Seagal. It's not good. And I'm like, yes, I completely agree. It's not good.
Is Megan suggesting that learning martial arts will help you against the killer robot? There's a bit of a leap there.
Spoiler, not spoiler, there is some martial arts stuff that eventually slightly helps. Obviously, in like a time of need, there's one slight flip, and like, all the trainings come into.
It's like in the Lost World where you get all those pointless lines about Malcolm's daughter being into gymnastics so she can kick a raptor through a window.
Yeah, it's essentially just a plot point to help them later on. We need somebody to be able to punch, therefore we have to set it up earlier that they learned how to punch, sort of thing.
In my brain, I remember the one in Jurassic Park 3 where it's a gymnast so they can like swing into the building or something. Like, I didn't realize they just copied that plot point.
Either that or like pretty much all of these movies, we need the main character, and this is just action movies in general, we need the main character to have been like a Navy SEAL at some point. So we have an excuse for why this random character can kick ass all the way through and stop terrorists.
Yeah.
Welcome to all three movies.
And they've got to have a lot more reasons for being able to kick ass if it's a woman. It's like, if it's a guy, throwaway line, he was in the services, but woman, she needs to have been fighting for her life since birth, basically.
Yeah, or you end up with Rey Skywalker, who they're, well, how can she do that? In my, dumb action film.
It's like, well, she's like lived her whole life scaling down wreckages of like crashed spaceships, scavenging, and running away from.
It's the Force. It's a license to do anything when you feel like it.
Yeah.
Also, they take issue with that, but the whole thing of Stormtroopers missing, we're just like, yeah, fine. They have to come up with reasons why this makes sense, and it's like, well, anyway, this is a whole other topic.
Yeah. The thing about Seagal is it's not about Seagal the person. It's the cultural perception of Steven Seagal that is really the topic. So I looked up like on Reddit, people talking about like what was the appeal of Steven Seagal, because you can look at like retrospectives. You can go online and read like contemporary articles about Steven Seagal that like the New York Times or People magazine have uploaded.
One of the first things that comes up when you search for him is one of the top search I think is Steven Seagal any good at martial arts? Because a lot of people can't tell, and then there's lots of people. It's like these high level practitioners of Aikido, which is martial arts, saying, well, yeah, back in the day he was, he got to 7th dan, you got to the 7th level of mastery.
I think I saw a thing that he was the first
the first was the first Westerner to have a dojo in Tokyo, so he was very well respected at the time.
That's the amazing thing, is that all of that is lies. Um, Sam.
Is it actually?
Well,
Yes.
I mean, I knew he was an awful person, but I didn't realize he'd made up
Yeah.
all of his backstory in a George Lazenby kind of way.
In terms of how he got started, I think some of his stuff's been exaggerated, but no, nothing. The people. So my dad practices martial art, and he knows some quite senior people there, and a lot of them do rate him kind of when he started. You know, they said he was good, but in terms of what he used that for and how he got advancement and stuff, it's all a little bit more more inconsistent. You know, there are holes, as you say, and
Well,
he's as he says. He's infamous for being kind of playful with the truth, you know, and to advance himself.
So essentially, he's got enough kind of basic skills in order to have a decent grounding and pass somewhere to it off, but it's not as good as what he says it is. You know, we're not saying he doesn't have any kind of martial arts skills, because he clearly does, but it's not to the level that he reckons he does.
Well, for example, with his dojo that he owned, he married a Japanese woman. They went back to her hometown where her parents owned the dojo, and her mom operates it today. He was just the son-in-law, the brother-in-law, the husband who showed up to pretend. And we'll see this as a theme in his films, pretending he's like of a culture and that he's accepted as an outsider.
It's very much nepo son-in-law, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, was he assume kind of in some way teaching some of maybe the basic classes at the dojo for beginners, and therefore you can exaggerate that?
Yeah. There's no doubt that to get his dojo started, he had a lot of help with that, and he probably wouldn't be able to do it on his own. But to get to that level of that martial art, you can't just do that just for being famous. You know, I mean, he probably has help on the way, but there is a certain level. Like I said, there is respect for him, or there was respect for him. I mean, my dad was saying, like, when he spoke out, in favor of the invasion of Ukraine. This obviously is a Russian citizen now. He's best mates with Putin, and now he runs a dojo in Moscow, apparently.
Yeah.
My dad was saying when he went to train that night, spoke to his sensei, and they said, "Oh yeah, we need to have a talk. We're going to issue a statement about our stance on Seagal and how we don't we're denouncing anything he says, and we don't respect him as a practitioner anymore. He's just a bad guy now." So
yeah.
So,
but
so weird.
But that was just on local club level. Equal the wider kind of Aikido practicing community, all these federations across the planet haven't issued like a full blanket denouncement of him. It's something that very much been left down to the individual clubs, to make that decision, basically.
Well,
but I've seen I did a search earlier, and a lot of practitioners online basically saying, he's kind of bringing the sport to disrepute. The martial arts shouldn't be about what he's using it for, about personal glory and becoming famous and using it for your own ends. It's about, it should be about inner peace and flow of energy and everything that. And he's completely kind of making a mockery of that, basically.
What the people online talking about, like, I was a teenager watching Steven Seagal movies. What they said was they hadn't seen what he was doing in terms of being like, and I'm not sure how they hadn't seen this, because I can think of a lot of stoic action heroes, but I guess sort of blending the little bit of invincibility that he had, never losing a fight, Fast and Furious principle, but also that they would like focus on him breaking arms and like how he did that, and a focus on
in
like
slow-mo.
Yeah, in slow-mo, his martial arts like stuff on screen. And that is where his whatever level of legitimate martial arts he used to know back in the day. What he's doing in the movies is in a way stage fighting, but also he has a reputation for literally harming stunt performers. And a lot of them have spoken out against him as a bad person on that end. But that is how he got his start, breaking Sean Connery's wrist on Never Say Never Again. That was his second movie as a martial arts consultant. But while running so he abandoned his wife and children in Japan, came back to America, She divorced him when he got with Kelly LeBrock, and he's running a dojo in Los Angeles, and like, you know, there's big LA people coming in there, and the head of CAA is like, hey, I'm gonna make this guy a movie star. His first movie is Above the Law, and I mean, it's not good. Like, if that's what you point to as this is, oh yeah, you need to watch one of his movies, Above the Law. No, it's still not good. He's a B action star who got pretty famous, you know, late 80s, early 90s was his peak, but he was on SNL in 1991. Everybody hated him. He pitched a sketch about like a therapist having sex with the patient. He was just a general scumbag, difficult to work with, harassing women on set.
He's one of the few people to receive a lifetime ban from ever coming back to SNL, you know, because he was that terrible to, you know, on set, basically.
And
I mean, I think somehow my old lecturer Hugh is either like part of a finance team or something along those lines, because I mentioned him at some point as a laugh cast, and he's just like, for something, he's like, absolutely not. He's an awful human being. And it sounded like he had some work relations. I don't know if he like a company had worked with had financed one of the low budget things in the 2000s or something along those lines, that it sounded like there was some kind of business connection to him at some point. So it's just like this is ongoing, and it's not stopping. He's just kind of an awful. And not only the weird thing is watching these three films, because I'd seen a couple that he'd been in years ago. I think I'd seen Fire Down Below, and I think I'd seen The Glimmer Man, which is the only one I could remember having seen him, only because I can remember seeing trailers for it. I think I recorded it from like Film 4 or something when it was on, and I over a week just hit a record for a load of things, and then watching them all, obviously the same trailer for the same film come up, so I know it from the trailer more than anything. But I was watching these going, he's obviously got some martial arts skills, but he's an awful actor. He's really just not good at acting.
Yep. And that's the insane thing about his stardom, is he was never good.
What I find fascinating is a lot of, you know, martial arts, you know, start off as, you know, like, you know, professional martial arts, you know, doing competitions, you know, going for belts, something like that, and then they transition into like the movies, you know, as action stars. And a lot of just being really good at martial arts for a lot of people. You think of like, you know, Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, even someone like Jason Statham, you know.
I mean, I'd go so far to say even somebody like Dave Bautista, if you class it as martial arts.
Okay, wrestlers even this, but being a certain, have certain prowess in martial arts for often gives you like an inherent kind of magnetism, but Seagal just doesn't have that. He's just so. It's like his action scenes are like. In his films, it's like watching a doll fighting real people. It's just so nothing there at all. It's just doing so the moves, you know.
I was going to say, and how much did he actually keep up kind of the practice of this martial art as a kind of continuous kind of keeping in shape, in form, and learning new skills and techniques with the martial arts once he got into films? Or did it get to like sort of 91, 92, and it was just like, it's all in there somewhere, you know, but like drummers I think, now in big bands just go out and play.
I think it was still sort I think he was still sort of keeping relatively in shape for the movies and stuff, but in terms of his martial art prowess, it kind of fell to the wayside. And then by the time you get around to the 21st century, you know, I mean, you can see just in his shape, you know, he's always wearing like, you know, big coats and stuff, and it's always, you know, it's hiding a multitude of sins. Sure, put it that way. I mean, I'm not trying to fat shame, but basically a lot of the work then we'll see, particularly in Jacob's film, a lot of the work is done in the edit. Then, isn't it? It's just like as long as he can move his hands still fairly quickly, everything else they'll work around him.
That's what's so insane is like, we'll talk about On Deadly Ground, but like that's the film that finally just sank him. He's in a few more like mid-90s, late 90s movies. By 2003, he's out of theaters except for Robert Rodriguez's Machete. And everything is direct to video. And he's selling energy drinks. And he's making terrible music. And he's just like a garbage person, just grifting pretty much. He makes a show called Steven Seagal Lawman, which I did watch, and in one of the episodes he's like, so I've been training dogs since my early teens. He's pretending he trains attack dogs. He's pretending he's a police officer. He sees a group of black people and he's like, I think they're dealing drugs. And so they go over there and they don't find anything and it's pointless. And they just found a guy with a warrant out for his arrest. And that was it.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, he worked for the racist sheriff in Arizona, Joe Arpaio, who was like the big Trumpy, I'm going to deport immigrant sheriff. Like, the dude is just a terrible person, continued making really bad movies, and then moved to Russia. Probably because, like, they'll never send him to the U.S. for his multitude of things we don't know about.
I mean, two most prominent, like, film stars with, like, shady past, ends up in Russia, kind of Putin's inner circle, or Steven Seagal and Gerard Depardieu. They've both, funnily enough, famous for their bullying, apparent behaviour on set, and sexual assault of multiple women. So, it seems to attract a certain kind of person, and the people who are still fans of their work and say, we shouldn't let prove it. We shouldn't let it colour their filmographies. And, to be honest, neither of them have great filmographies even to begin with. I mean, even Jared Depardieu had probably just a handful of films where he was any good, but really,
because the weird thing.
Like relics of another time, really, aren't they?
Yeah, there's again just the strangest thing watching all these films, and we'll get into in a minute, is the fact that all these other kind of actors, and I'll include people like Schwarzenegger and Dave Bautista and Jackie Chan that have come from either martial arts or kind of fitness competition based sort of things. When they get out of it, they'll keep it up, but they will make a genuine, serious effort to become, if not kind of classically trained actors, but try and learn this new craft that they're doing.
But Bautista took a shitload of acting lessons for Drax and then kept it up when he did his work with Villeneuve. He's like he's always out to improve his his skill set, isn't he?
And I mean, Schwarzenegger, we done Conan the Barbarian, and this is one of his first breakouts, and it's not as great there. Terminator kind of gives him the thing where he's kind of stoic in the original. I mean, he wanted Carl Reese's role originally, but he's very stoic there. But then you do see kind of the stuff that he's in. He is trying as much as he can to get it. And Schwarzenegger, God bless him, is never going to be the greatest actor on earth. But you do have these moments, stuff like Maggie. I mean, I know that's later on in his career, but there are moments of, we have tried to learn the craft. I remember seeing an interview with Jackie Chan, and he's like, I don't want to be like a martial arts guy. I want to be a real actor. And he goes, and he comes, you talking to me, De Niro, that's who I want to be. I want to be an actor. So they are, I mean, Jackie Chan to a certain extent is just Jackie Chan, whatever he's in. Yeah. But he's trying to bring some life to these characters. Like, Seagal's just... I
don't get the impression he ever wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be a star, I think.
Yeah. And that's so whenever people talk about, like, what was great about Seagal is that, ignore my dog, is that he was invincible. And, like, you would see Jean-Claude Van Damme get hurt, but then he'd come back and go get the bad guy. But that never happened to Seagal. Yeah. And that's a weakness.
This is like,
that's a bad character.
It's like the whole ridiculous Fast and Furious, tracker of how many times each star's allowed to get hits. But Seagal was doing that 2 decades before that franchise, wasn't he?
At least they get emotionally beat down or something.
Yeah.
Like,
but no, it's literally he just sails through, no trouble at all with anything. End of the gun, he gets a scratch on his cheek, doesn't he, at the end? But that's it. That's the extent of damage he's allowed to take.
Yeah, the trouble is it makes them all absolutely awful because you don't give a damn anymore. It's like, I don't give a damn. It's like, some of these people, they've got kind of not great actors, but they're trying to do something with material that's there with some kind of character. Here, like, and let's put it, by a certain point, pretty much after Under Siege, because he can now do whatever the hell he wants. He's essentially just writing himself in, giving himself a different name, going, I am invincible, I am the greatest human being alive. Everybody, please have sex with me. And that's just it
Yeah.
for all of the movie.
Yep.
It's absurd, and the film's just the general writing of the character's plot, if it's Seagal or not, suffers as a result because even if you put another actor in that the same roles that Seagal plays, the characters are still now boring as hell because they've been written kind of, if not by Seagal, then Seagal's just going like, "Hey, hey, hey, I need
Yeah.
to have this," and to be the most perfect human being alive, and it's just like, no,
Yeah,
sod off.
I mean, yeah, I mean, directing on Underground and producing Under Siege, you know, that both he definitely has a hand in terms of if a scene, if perhaps characterization isn't stroking his ego enough, if he's not, that just
Yeah.
amped up to a ridiculous extent, you know, the most perfect kind of human being, you know, alive. No matter how detestable we might, as an audience, might find watching him, you know, it's like within the film's universe, everyone's like worshipping the ground he's on. That's clearly what he wants. You
And
know?
Yeah.
that's what like I think it's him playing Steven Seagal because the way
Yes.
he approaches that lawman reality cop show is like, I'm actually here training these police. I'm basically a consultant expert. Look at me go. He's like directing them in the car. My favorite anecdote is that besides the guy making him, he chokes him until he poops himself. It was during Seagal's period in Japan that his activities took a turn into intrigue. As he has told, then denied the story, he met some people from a particular agency. These guys were my students. They saw my abilities with both martial arts and the language Japanese. Seagal told the Los Angeles Times in 1988, you could say that I became an advisor to several CIA agents in the field, and though my friends in the CIA, through that my friends at the CIA met many powerful people and did special works and special favors. And that's from an article called, Sure, he's making a box office killing, but who is Steven Seagal? From 1990 in People. So, like, in the midst of the peak of his fame, people are like, yeah, this guy's just full of crap.
Yep.
He's full of himself. He's an idiot. And yeah, that's how we got here.
Yeah. So should we crack on with getting these films out of the way? Because let's
So
be honest,
yeah,
I feel like we've got three films to go through, and I feel like a lot of our ranting comments about at least the Seagal parts of each one are going to be roughly copy and paste with a
yeah,
couple of changes. The films themselves may have different pros and cons, or a lot
yeah,
of cons
yeah.
and less pros, but the
Okay,
actual
yeah,
Seagal parts is just going to be insert
yeah.
the same bit here.
All right. Okay. Right. So his first big hit, basically his first kind of big starring role, big blockbuster kind of appearance was Under Siege, which was the one I would do because it's meant to be the good one. It's not really. I suppose it's
It
slightly better than some of the others,
I,
but
I
it's
was
still
I was
good.
thinking of what it is, and I think it's actually kind of like two films that we have already covered if you combined the two. It's
Yeah.
essentially Air Force One, the plot of Air Force One,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
ships of Hunt for Red October.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, let me come to how I sum up. So it's a 1992 action movie directed by Andrew Davis and starring Steven Seagal. And it's one of the more prominent Die Hard but movies of that era. So Die Hard was massive, and basically everyone wanted to do their own version of Die Hard. So it's Die Hard butts on a plane, Die Hard on a train, Die Hard on whatever vehicle. So this is
Have
Die
they
Hard
done
on a
Die Hard in
battleship.
space yet?
Die Hard, but it's a slasher.
Yeah. No, well, there was one that Guy Pearce did the other year, and it was like a sci-fi prison. Basically, it's like Die Hard in a sci-fi prison. I can't remember what it was called now. Anyway, yeah. So this is Die Hard on a battleship, and Seagal plays Chief Casey Ryback, who's a Navy chef fighting terrorists who hijack his vessel carrying nuclear weapons. Um,
Well, he's not just a chef, is he, Sam?
No, of course he's got a past. Yeah, he's got a particular set of special skills, and people are going to conveniently remember who he is at a key point further down the line. Um, so this reunion between Andrew Davis and Seagal, because Davis directed his Seagal's debut film Above the Law 4 years earlier, and apparently in many interviews, Davis stated that Seagal um, he was more of a pussycat when they first met, but he kind of hardens over the years and become more difficult to work with, basically. And he also admitted that in interviews that he agreed to direct Under Siege not because he wanted to work with Seagal again, but because he wanted to work with Tommy Lee Jones again. And of course, they would go on to reunite for a third time with The Fugitive the next year. So, and by the way, if there is an Andrew Davis film to see, it's not Above the Law. It's not Under Siege. It's definitely The Fugitive. Fugitive is class.
Every way now.
Yeah. So they have to, throughout this, they have to keep mentioning that he's the best cook in the world and the best fighter and probably the best lover in the world as well. You can tell this by how he's always shouting at the only woman in the film.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, and probably a reason this is a popular movie, there are boobs in it. So
that's true. There
Yes.
are boobs. Yeah. Apparently, this was a really big hit. VHS was one of the most rented VHS tapes in Blockbuster during the 90s.
Wonder why.
Its poster
Blockbuster
looks
stuff-
like that.
Yeah. The Blockbuster staff had to keep replacing the takes because the scene where she flashes was rewound and paused so many times, so it was degrading at a much faster rate than the rest of the tape. So it takes so it takes Seagal fully 20 minutes to get out of the pantry that they lock him in right at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
But once he's out and he's got his action hero vest on, then
Also,
then he can.
I genuinely believe Steven Seagal thinks he needs to be locked in a meat locker in this scenario in real life, or he will be able to prevent it.
That's true, yeah. But they basically he gets out there and kicks some serious ass with anything he gets his hands on. Basically, I mean, a lot of them are very generic fights and kills, but I particularly like it's probably slightly more extreme violence than most films of this era of this type. But I particularly like the one where one guy's killed by a heavy metal ladder, basically just gets absolutely splattered against the floor with it. I find it interesting that they don't have an actor playing the president in this because this ship has basically been decommissioned. They just wheel out some archive newsreel of George H.W. Bush basically doing the same thing with a different ship. They keep referencing the president throughout, but he's not coming back. He's not actually a character in this. He's just.
I didn't realize it was decommissioned. Why is there so much live ammunition on board?
Yeah.
Including nukes.
Plot.
Yeah, I mean, was this like the lead up to decommissioning? This was like their last kind of voyage before that. So I can't remember.
That's interesting.
They may have explained it, but it's not lodged in my brain.
Yeah, it's so not important that I didn't even notice it.
Yeah,
Most of this movie is not important.
Yeah, you got to ask. So why does Seagal act like that around everyone? He's trying to blend in with real people, but not really understanding what makes a person a person. He's just, I said he's like some weird haunted doll, basically, just trying to be a real man. And just some of the choices here, it's like that he's got meant to be from Louisiana, and he's got a sort of Louisiana drawl that he remembers to do occasionally, but generally doesn't. He's got a stupid, ridiculous slicked back hair that's too long for it to be in the Navy. That at least he cut off his ponytail for it, because that would have been a step too far.
Sam, he has perfected that accent by End of a Gun, fortunately. So
yeah. I think that's just his voice by then. I think it's an accent he likes when he tried it out in the 90s. They thought, oh, this is going to be my voice from now on. And this ridiculous, like, mock shamanistic dialogue, kind of things that he probably thinks are profound, but they just sound so stupid. Yeah, the thing about, like, just not being shaken by a dressing down by a superior officer and just responding with, "Well, I do have 50 gallons of bouillabaisse prepared by tomorrow." and just kind of his attempt at like an inspirational speech, for the rest of the crew that he's trying to rally and to fight back, says, "You're in the Navy, remember? It's not a job, it's an adventure." What?
do not understand most of the stuff in this movie. It must be said.
Yeah. Better than Seagal,
so
definitely is
boring.
Tommy Lee. Yeah, Tommy Lee Jones in full-on flamboyant villain mode. I mean, I really miss fun Tommy Lee Jones. Yeah, early to mid-90s Tommy Lee Jones, he was having the time of his life, and it's just great. Basically, he's like Hans Gruber Hans Gruber at sea. Basically, he's the the leader of this outfit, with plans to launch nukes at Hawaii.
His
his
partner is cross-dressing Gary Busey as well.
Yes, and Gary Busey is also Hans Gruber at sea, but like a more unstable version of that. He's like Tommy Lee Jones is mad, but not that mad. Gary Busey is Gary Busey mad, so really mad.
I will say that probably Tommy Lee Jones is actually the best part of this movie.
And
really anytime he's talking, he's like, okay, I can vaguely watch this. And every time it cuts away, it's like, no, I've lost interest.
I'd love to know how much of his stuff was like was scripts or improvised. I think the whole when he's slightly concussed and he goes off on that kind of tangent about watching the Muppets when he was growing up, that was improvised apparently, which is great.
I really love that Tommy Lee Jones's character is like, I don't know, is he ex-Navy or Special Forces or something?
Yes,
And
so the original script was meant to make that clearer apparently, but they cut out the scene that would have solidified that.
Great.
So they meet right at the end and say, "Oh, I thought I recognised you." It's like, have we referenced that you might have known each other previously at all, or are you just bringing this up now? There was a scene in the original script that set that up, but they didn't end up using it.
Well, I think also the whatever the council of whoever the Navy, they were also like saying, "Oh my God, it's him" or something like that too. But
it's him.
God, it's Jason Bourne.
But Tommy Lee Jones, him and his bad guy crew created a band that play a lot of really good and engaging music. So how much time are they rehearsing to do this act just as a bit to take over the ship? Like that's
about the same amount of time that the dwarves in The Hobbit practice their kind of like choral choir singing before beating up goblins.
And Gary Busey didn't need to cross-dress for this plan to work. It doesn't really add anything, does it? It's just kind of again like another scene to kind of emphasize that he's a bit of a strange guy.
Well, he's unstable because he dresses like a woman. So
I'm gonna say I'm not sure whether this is actually kind of incredibly offensive in that way, or it's big, or they didn't know because it's 1992, and I'm not sure whether I should feel offended or just go, it's actually vaguely hilarious.
Is it just to set up that line where he's sitting at the desk reading his kind of performance reports? He's been written up, and kind of looks at Tommy Lee Jones with his lipstick and his hairnet on and goes, do I look emotionally unstable to you? Tommy Jones like, no, you look fine.
Yeah, they were fighting over, I get to be the Joker. No, I get to be the Joker.
I'm the Joker. I'm the Joker.
Yeah. So the original script. So it was a spec script titled Dreadnought from 1990, apparently originally, and the original take was a lot darker and more violent. So apparently the terrorists kill all the other crew in the original script. None of them get kind of locked away. They're all either shot or gassed. And Ryback was he was older in the original script, a Vietnam veteran, and there was more background for him, which revealed how Stranix, the Tommy Lee Jones character, had tricked and used his SEAL team to commit robbery and then betrayed him and left him for dead, essentially. So that's their background. And but none of that survived into the film. And the ending was apparently involved the whole ship sinking as Ryback is kind of setting off one of the nukes. Sounds like a great plan.
Well, and what this movie comes out as is like, because they have the character who says, "Oh, I didn't actually fight in Desert Storm," but it feels like some kind of American military rah-rah movie. Oh, look how awesome our special forces are. They could stop these crazy, I don't know, bad guys and cross-dressers and...
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a pale... the contrast between on deadly grounds like anti, government environmentalist message versus this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could
Yeah,
tell he
yeah,
didn't write this one. He's just good
yes.
guy does good guy.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, isn't it? I mean, he was a problematic person on set. Even back in the early '90s. So he again that scene where he's trying to inspire them, to fight back and everything like that. He was when he was shooting that scene, he improvised a line and went for one of the actors, Troy Evans, kind of really kind of tried to put him down and kind of intimidate him. Apparently, not knowing that Troy Evans was a real war veteran who moved into acting, and apparently Evans cut Seagal short, demanded the director stop shooting right in front of the cast and crew, and put Seagal in his place. Seagal apparently almost started crying and tried to explain that had Evans was a true veteran, he would have encouraged the director to give him a larger part. Evans told him to shove it, and for the rest of the movie, Seagal was careful when acting with Evans. And
you just love to say stuff like that to Steven Seagal, just in general, like
and his whole relationship with Erica Eleniak, who plays Jordan, who was so the Playboy playmate in this, who the actress as well had a background in modelling before going into acting, he was meant to be very sexually aggressive with her on set, and she was not having any of it, and he was very intimidating, and then later I think he denied it and said something to the tune of well, she wasn't, I wouldn't have done that, she wasn't that pretty anyway. Which like, oh god, really? That's your defense? Like, one, deny it, but two, it's just nice piece of work as we're establishing. This is one of only 3 movies with Steven Seagal to hold a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The other 2 are Executive Decision and Machete.
Neither of which are his movie.
No.
Once again, this kind of proves the point that he's not a good actor.
No. And this is also the only Seagal film to be nominated for Oscars. So best sound and best sound effects editing, if you're counting, and know that he didn't win any of them. But it was nominated.
Let's also don't forget that like Rotten Tomatoes includes modern reviews. Like it's not just contemporary. There's people that are like, oh, I liked this when I was a teenager or kid. Like how people talk about Attack of the Clones being good. Like, and the contemporary critics were like, eh. And they were like that with all of his best movies.
I mean, look,
this exists.
I'll give it this. Putting aside the Seagal element, which I think actively makes this movie a lot worse than it needs to be, I think take him out and it's a typical, pretty standard 90s action movie, really. It's quite similar to a lot of films from this period. It's technically fairly glossy. It's good that they got a real kind of ship and made use of it, as a location. I think it's good use of that. The sound, Oscar nominated sound is good sound design. I think some of the set piece and the size of the explosions they set off is still pretty impressive. But everything else, basically anything that is like fights and kind of or anything that has to have a human element, it seems like very half baked and unimaginative, really. And just having a style that's just so uninteresting and unengaging and just wooden, just really hurts it, I think.
And not even a star that's unengaging, like a main character that's just written very unengagingly. It's just like, oh, what are they? They're now a cook, and the only reason they're a cook is because he should have been actually kind of working as like a SEAL or special ops or whatever it is. Yeah. And he hit an officer, and this is just to get him out of the way. That's his backstory. That's it. He has nothing else.
There's almost reference about, the captain really likes his cooking, so he brought him along. It's almost like the captain had him on hand,
in case this happened.
But he is also a really good cook as well. So it's
Well, what's funny is Gary Busey spits in the food, and I'm like, doesn't Gary Busey have to eat that food? Why? What's the point of spitting into it? He just hates every Steven Seagal character is just a flat cartoon, nothing to it.
Yes.
Even when the actors try and do something, it's
Yeah.
just and bearing in mind this isn't like Steven Seagal's movie, but it feels like it's his movie, you know?
I mean, considering how like off the walls nutso both Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey are playing this, I still think Seagal is like the weirdest kind of figure in this whole thing. It's just like it just doesn't seem human. He's like
Vin Diesel would
And
be
not
an
in a good way.
improvement. Like,
Yes.
and he's
Yeah.
he's not the most charismatic guy in the world.
No, but Vin Diesel
but
at least
Vin
he's
Diesel
not a
can-
great
Vin-
actor, but at least he tries.
he kind of knows what he can do and does that each time. You know, he's reliable.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get from Vin.
And Vin taking himself seriously is like endearing because it's also about his family and all all his fans. Whereas with Seagal, it's literally just about Seagal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That was Under Siege, and I felt like I was under siege watching this.
Haha.
Yeah.
Made a lot of money though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and Seagal would come back for Under Siege to Enemy Territory. Which
Is that
he
any
made
good?
I've not seen it, and I'm not
No.
like so.
It's not.
The poster is a really badly kind of rendered thing of him hanging onto a train, basically hanging on the outside of a train. It just looks like, yeah. If you find the poster, it's something to behold. Apparently, he only did that.
Oh God,
on
it
the
is.
agreement that, yeah. He did that on the agreement. Basically, got that out of on Deadly Ground.
Yeah.
And said, right, I'll come back for the sequel to your successful movie if you let me direct on Deadly Ground. That was the deal with the studio.
I also forgot at the end he makes everybody cheer him on as he kisses the hot girl.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
obviously.
Also,
almost
the
as bad
only
as Tarantino
woman in
getting
the
all the
movie.
roles with the feet involved.
Yeah,
You know?
he was pushing for an outright sex scene between them, but she wasn't having it, so he got talked down to a kiss.
She was
God.
I'm trying to work
Persuaded
out
with
where
money.
that would have fit. Where that would have fit in this movie, you know, it's like literally they're on a boat filled with terrorists fighting for their lives. Like, oh, shall we just slip in this room here and have a quickie?
Like it's like in Star Wars, they jump into the trash compactor, but instead of the walls closing, it's a gross.
You
sex
have
scene.
to have a moment where
was it going to be like the end of a Roger Moore James Bond movie? It's like that'd be the final scene, them getting it on.
I mean, it would have to be. There's a bit where she kind of shoots somebody that's about to hit him, right, and kill him.
Yeah.
So it'd have to be like after that, so that emotionally they now see themselves as equals or something along those. It wouldn't happen.
This movie isn't concerned with that, except with there's the one part where the guy is like, "You know how to use that gun or whatever," and she's like, "Here, I fixed it for you," and we're like, "Whoa." She knows how to use gun stuff, but like that's it. It never matters, never really comes back. She's just the woman.
Yes, the woman. Yeah, but if we've got nothing else on this, from water to explosions, and therefore fire. Whoa, the deadly ground.
From water to ice. Come on,
yes, and kind of related to fire because he also a couple of years after On Deadly Ground did Fire Down Below, which was kind of seen as pairing with this one as his kind of ecological movies. I watched this because this was his only directorial credit, and I'm like, well, let's see Seagal from a directorial point of view, so it's not just the acting or the writing, and so we can judge the other kind of parts of it. And I kind of watched this going, why did we ever think
you also
this was a
didn't
good
watch
idea?
the directing?
No, like I was trying not to watch the film at all, to be honest.
After a pretty impressive kind of opening credits scrolling and considering the talent he's got in this. And then the first time you see Michael Caine and realise he's doing a bad American accent, and like, oh no, what have you done?
When you said that's American, that blew my mind. Because to me, it just sounded like Michael Caine.
No, it sounds like Michael Caine trying to do an American accent.
Yeah,
the thing with this,
no Hugh Laurie.
That says so much.
He's no Olivia Wilde.
No, he's nothing, to be honest. The trouble with this movie is that it should be somewhat decent because by the time 1997 comes around, 3 people in this movie will have won Oscars. Because you have, according to the trivia, and it's fairly accurate. I'm just looking on because like it's quite hard to find information on this film aside from like basics. So I'm going to other places to find stuff. So I apologize if the trivia on IMDb is incorrect. But this is what I'm working with because there's pretty much nothing unless I wanted to try and dig in like somewhere into like a Michael Caine biography, which I don't have to hand, obviously. But the cast includes 3 Oscar winners. Michael Caine, obviously. Billy Bob Thornton would win a couple of years later. And there's an uncredited performance by Louise Fletcher, who I obviously missed somewhere. She's probably in a crowd somewhere. I got a clue that Louise Fletcher, Nurse Ratched, was in this. And if you were unconvinced by the quality or lack thereof of this film, there's the fact that for Michael Caine's role, Anthony Hopkins was considered. That didn't happen. Alan Rickman was also considered. That didn't happen. There's also a thing that apparently Michael Caine actually replaced Jeremy Irons.
Why is he only getting British guys to play this American character?
British guys, bad guys. I don't know. If you're going to make it American, it's not.
Is this fake for you? I mean, I know this wouldn't have happened because obviously he directs it, but why is Michael Caine made to look like Steven Seagal in this?
Thank you. I also thought he was made
I
to
was
look like
wondering
Steven
the same
Seagal.
Why has he got fake tan and that's ridiculous black hair?
I think he's supposed to be a mirror, where Steven Seagal is Mr. Environment. He looks the same as him, but he's evil. And they're on par in terms of acting in Steven Seagal's mind.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Realistically, you're looking at him just going, poor Michael Caine. I think this was a kind of Jaws 4 story where he was offered quite a bit of money because
$1 million.
I don't know what his pay for this was, but it was
$1 million.
Oh, really? Yeah, he was not accepting it because of the script.
Yeah,
he really wasn't.
Famously with Jaws 4, he always used to say, "I've not seen Jaws 4. I've seen the house that Jaws 4 built."
Bought my mother, yeah, and it's amazing. Yeah, but this movie essentially is I don't even know how to describe the plot or lack thereof. There kind of is a plot, but it's also just stupid.
Steven Seagal, for some reason, thinks he's Native American.
Well, Steven Seagal is a fixer for an oil business. He's like a firefighter extraordinaire. But when he discovers that Michael Caine is using faulty supplies to construct an oil rig to prevent the mineral rights from reverting to the Native Americans or Native Alaskans, he has to become a Native American.
Finished by, they've got to have it finished by a particular date, before these rights lapse.
And he has to go on a murder spree.
Yeah, he then so Michael Caine then tries to have Steven Seagal kind of blown up in an explosion after taking out somebody, one of his work colleagues, who might also have like the details of this as well, kind of evidence for the kind of the bad stuff going on. Steven Seagal somehow survives, gets taken in by Native Americans. Has a couple of hallucinations, which he then later says is all awful and stupid and BS, and goes, you know what, we've got to go out and kill them. One of them, of an obvious love interest, goes, I will go with you, after knowing him for about 5 hours. And then goes, and we have a couple of really badly directed, badly done punch-ups and a couple of explosions that all have about half of it in badly done slow-mo.
For me, the best scene in the whole film is the bar fight at the start, I think.
Yes, with hand slapping. Because it's so stupid.
And
at least that's stupid. The rest is just awful.
So he's friend to Native American from the start, because he sees this guy being picked on at the bar, by these drunken assholes, basically. Yeah. And then he shows the big one who's boss by playing a game of slaps, and
Well,
break his nose and his balls and everything.
the best thing about that scene is all of the people in the bar, they're like, yeah, get him, Forrest. Yeah, Forrest, you're the man. You get him. And like, so pretty much what this is a neo-Western, and he's always wearing this stupid, like, hippie cowboy vest with like fringe on it. And the bad guys in the saloon are being racist. And so he's like, I'm going to get this lasso off the wall and do anything but use it as a lasso. And then beats up everybody except for the guy who's in Goodfellas in The Office.
Is that where they're from?
Yeah, he plays a guy on The Office where Michael thinks he's a mobster. But he's not. He's an insurance salesman.
I mean, Steven Seagal didn't write the film. It was written by people called Ed Horowitz and Robin Rusin.
He didn't write the film, but he changed the script every day on set based on his whims.
Yeah. And he had a big hand. And he had a big hand in the preachy speech at the end, didn't he? I think.
Yeah, and there's certain stuff like apparently according to the trivia. So there's a Danish character. Sven Ole Thorsen, I can't remember who he plays in the film. Somebody. He plays Thorsen. Yeah, I remember who Thorsen was. They have kind of apparently Seagal kind of asks him to kick him. Thorsen kind of like, I can't really kick Steven Seagal, and so Seagal kind of throws him to the ground, goes, kick me harder. Thorsen kicks Seagal as hard and fast as he could, and Seagal falls over. And then 2 days later, Seagal hits Thorsen in the throat, leaving him unconscious for 3 or 4 seconds. And as a result, Steven Seagal goes, like, looks so good, we're now going to change the script. Your character has now died at this point. And just change the script from there. Your character's now written out because I've actually knocked you unconscious.
Because that's the guy who fights in the cabin, isn't it? I think
so. You think I remember? I watched this last night.
And that moment when he goes down, it does look convincing. I mean,
yes, that's because it is. It's actual assault at that point. It's just absolutely just ridiculously stupid.
Here's my take on this movie. Something I didn't expect to be saying. It's a much worse movie than Under Siege, but I kind of preferred it because it was worse. I found it more entertaining.
It's so ridiculous the way that it's
just,
like
the decisions are just baffling. So really baffling.
The best part is the part where he becomes a Native American, where he's accepted into their culture as an outsider for no reason, and they're like, "Yes, the spirit of the bear will guide you." It's
and then
so
15 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, you think all those ghost stories will save you? No, we have to kill people instead." It's like, what the hell is going on?
Like, literally, Steven Seagal is saying, "Yes, I'm an eco-warrior with like an ethos. I care about all these underprivileged people." And meanwhile, he's killing his stuntmen and like sexually assaulting people on set. Like he's a terrible guy.
That apparently happened afterwards. Yeah, apparently there was an extra who came out. I think it's 2018. They said that she was an extra in this film. Seagal invited her to what was going to be a rap party that wasn't. And then he sexually assaulted her, and for weeks afterwards calling her and harassing her as well. So, Steven Seagal is not great a person. He's also definitely not great as a director, because all these movies, like, the fight... Considering he's somebody who's meant to be, like, a master of kind of martial arts and fighting, and has been in now an Oscar-nominated film and is now a big action star, he can't direct it for hell, because all of these like fight scenes are really dumb and boring, and they're just badly shot and edited, and it's just so like dry. There's nothing here.
When you go to what the crew has said about this movie, it was like the first, the other directors, like assistant directors, second unit, they're doing a lot of the work. He would say to the cinematographer, like, I need to be in the center of the shot because it's all about him. They would change lighting for him to be correct that caused like continuity errors. Like there were, unlike Tommy Wiseau, like real professionals tried to make this better, and he would actively sabotage it.
I mean, apparently most of Michael Caine's lines were rewritten by David S. Goyer, who did all the Blade movies, story on kind of Dark Knight, wrote Batman vs Superman, like, you know, very, very accomplished blockbuster success.
I think he went to like Yale too or something. Like he went to a good school.
Yeah, it's like, and it's like uncredited rewrites of Michael Caine's dialogue, which is why Michael Caine's dialogue sounds marginally better than Seagal's, which is not saying much because Seagal's is so awful. There's also a bit of trivia that what is it? He says at the beginning, like, how do you define the essence of a man, or something along those lines, which is somebody brought up. Who's his? Is it Kelly LeBrock or whatever? Kelly LeBrock, yeah. She was in a commercial that I have seen. I can't remember what it's for. It was an aftershave at some point a couple of years earlier, and the tagline for it is "the essence of man" as well. So everyone's gone, is this like a deliberate like homage to feed it back in? Just like this, like what the hell's going on? It's just like, even at the beginning, I'm thinking not only the fight scene, but there's a bit where like the old guy gets tortured, and like they bring in this big clamp to do something that's meant to like screw in and blood to shoot up, and it screws in, and the blood is apparently squirting up, but I can't tell if it's real or meant to be metaphorical, because it's like he's down here, and then the blood, there's like 4 drops running down the wall, like just 4 big blobs, like halfway up the window, like a mile away. Like, so I'm there actually watching, going, is that meant to have spurted, or is this some kind of the metaphorical bloodletting that this represents the plight?
I don't think there's anything metaphorical in here. I think Seagal thinks it all actually happens.
Like, it's just kind of like, oh, we need some blood on the walls, so we'll do that. We'll not actually do it to make it look like it came from the old guy. Nah, why would we do that? Famously, Roger Ebert also said that he's like, everything's like for like awful. There's a comment that he thinks the explosions look second rate. It goes on to his worst films of 1994 list, quite rightfully so.
I forgot actually to look up if he'd done any. You know, if it's in my compilation of his bad reviews, actually, any of these. I've got it here.
I was going to say, I know it's in his 1994 worst movies. I don't know if it's in a compilation. If you can find it, go for it.
I just can't believe he wanted this to be like Malik with Kung Fu. And it's just like so bad, so stupid, so on the nose, so poorly acted.
Yeah, and this is even before we get to the final scene. Oh, the final scene. Right.
Also, John C. McGinley's okay, though. Yeah. I will give him that.
Everybody else is essentially trying to rescue this and make it vaguely kind of... At least you don't scratch your eyeballs, even if you don't want to watch it.
They try to push their one note, like, really strongly, at least.
Yeah, well, they're like, this is an awful movie, but awful movies are good if you're the standout star from it, because you're the only one that gets remembered. So that's what they're all trying to do. But yeah, so they go through all this stuff. They defeat the bad guy, Michael Caine, obviously. And right at the end, Steven Seagal... and it's not even like his character at this point. It's Steven Seagal delivers a big 7-minute epilogue speech to kind of like the UN or whatever it is.
Which was originally twice that length.
Well, yeah. I hate to correct you, Kieran, but he gives it to the Inuits. Like he's preaching to the choir. Literally.
Yeah. I was taking it too much for actual intelligence.
They invite him to tell them how to look after the earth.
Yeah, they're at the Alaska. They're at the Alaska State Capitol. He's at a lectern, and it's all just Native Alaskan people in the audience.
Yeah. So the hilarious thing is, apparently they filmed 40 minutes of footage like for this. So it's like a 40-minute speech. They cut it down to about 14 for the original thing. And then apparently in the audience, apparently Seagal wanted to use all 40 minutes, but they're like, no, 14, make it 14.
What the audience nearly rioting with the full length?
Yes, they were laughing, they were booing, they were throwing things at the screen. And after this, one of them was like, please cut it down. So we cut it down to 7 minutes instead. And it's just, you're listening to it, and it's just kind of skip. Oh, it's still going. It's kind of, It was almost as bad as Adrian Brody's speech this year. You know, it's that kind of thing where it just keeps going and going and
No,
going
because
and going.
Adrian Brody has talent. Like it's, I'd much rather listen to Adrian Brody drone on.
But one thing I wasn't quite expecting though was there was going to be a link between this and so last night I watched the latest David Attenborough documentary in the cinema, Ocean, which is like and basically the thesis behind that is exactly the same as the thesis of Seagal's speech at the end of this. Basically, it talks about how you've got to save the plankton and look after our water sources, and all these companies are basically strong arming governments, to make the wrong decisions about how to look after our world and everything. And it's exactly the same thesis, like 30 years on, but delivered more effectively and more movingly. I mean, you're not going to listen to anything Seagal says, and even if he does have some points, in his final kind of speech, it's just coming from that mouth. It means nothing.
The best scene in the movie is when Michael Caine and his evil lawyer are talking to the press, and one of the, I guess it's the main indigenous woman. She runs up and throws oil on him. He's like, "Oh, this is a new suit. What'd she throw on me, eh?" And then
is that the Michael Caine impression?
That's my Michael Caine doing an American accent impression.
The accent,
which came out Australian.
Sometimes it sounds like he's got an accent. Sometimes it just sounds like him not even trying.
But
it fluctuates.
That scene, I feel the emotion. It's one of the Inuit heads of the tribe or a lawyer describing the real problems, and Michael Caine being cartoonishly evil about it. It's the best scene in the movie because he's not in it, and I buy what's going
Aside
on, and
from
I feel
about 3
things.
seconds right at the end where he walks past it,
that's it. Yeah, and he's wearing another ridiculous outfit.
It's just
there's people riding horses for no reason, just because it's a Western. And whenever the indigenous people talked about it, they were like, "Yeah, this is just a joke. He's making a mockery of our spirituality and beliefs."
Yes. Yeah. Please, so I don't normally make pleas like this, but please do not watch this film if you're listening. Genuinely do not. It will give him more notoriety. It will waste your time and your brain cells. I'm sorry, Michael Caine.
But I'm sorry to break it to you, but we've left the worst for last.
I was going to say, this at least had some environmental message in it. This final one, we jump a couple of decades into the future to see if a slight resurgence after Machete helps at all. No, it doesn't.
Well, there was no slight resurgence. There was direct to video for 7 years, a blip, 10-minute role in not a Robert Rodriguez movie, at least. I don't know if it's good. Yeah. And then back to direct to video.
I'll tell you what, there is one thing about this film that is better than On Deadly Ground, and that is it is about, including credits, 15 minutes shorter.
Yes.
That's it.
I'd still rather watch On Deadly Ground, to be honest.
I'd say something that's not better in this. It's the gun noises. I've never heard such cheap gun noises.
Also, thankfully for this, I don't know what he's done, but he's kind of just talking like this the entire time, where it's barely above a whisper. So you don't hear him as much. It's great. Well, you can turn the volume down and just about hear everyone else, and not Steven Seagal. So it's just yay, we only have to see the guy instead of hear him.
When people talk about him online at this point in his career, they're asking, why does he talk like a black guy? That's how his voice, the affectation he's putting on is I'm an urban fellow from the 1950s. It doesn't make any sense. He's got the ponytail. At some point in the late 2000s, he decided yellow sunshades were going to be his look, yellow orange. All of these late movies, he's wearing his same sunglasses because that's what the character would do, because Steven Seagal wrote this direct-to-video movie.
Yes, it shows.
Yeah, and for the last decade, he's had the same painted-on hair and painted-on beard as well.
Well, again, the trouble is that is his look, and you can't.
There's a picture of him shaking hands with Putin, and he's dressed exactly like the character in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like 5 years after this.
So I chose this one over like special ops sniper or whatever because he's wearing like normal clothes and he's not an active military person. Yeah, all of his late stuff. It's like those movies Bruce Willis did when he found out he had a bad disease. He's just cranking out all these terrible action movies because
I
he
think,
has a quote unquote famous name.
Yeah, I think I reviewed, is it Breach or whatever it was, the sci-fi action movie with the most awful toy guns in existence. That I reviewed it for the film magazine. The review's still up, and I'm fairly sure that film only got made because they said, "Oh, Bruce Willis is in, therefore we'll give you the money." It's just it happens.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I think Steven Seagal, although he's an awful person, he has the name, which means that if he wants to make a movie for an awful action movie for 3-4 mil, just go Steven Seagal's in it, and enough people will watch it because of the name that it can justify like TV rights and DVD rights, like just about.
Literally, it's his production, Steamroller production on like all of these terrible movies. He's in some way like on that end of it too, cranking this crap out. But he met director Keone Waxman sometime in the late 2000s. They decided to start collaborating together, and they made before Waxman got to working with him, he made gems such as the Anna Nicole Smith story. That is a biographical film that I'm pretty sure was a TV movie. But yeah, they start collaborating on The Keeper in 2009. It's a dumb action movie. They did the TV show True Justice together, Hunt to Kill, Maximum Conviction, which also has, I think, Steve Austin in it. You got Force of Execution, A Good Man, which is a prequel to Force of Execution, Absolution, Contract to Kill, and End of a Gun. Those are just some of their collaborations together.
Yeah, essentially, Seagal's just like, can you direct all my movies now? Yes, please.
This was distributed by Lionsgate. I was shocked when there was a real logo at the beginning of this. So not only was it like cheaply produced by a few just probably con artist scam outlets, it's also just like Lionsgate saying, okay, well, here's some money.
Put it this way. If you remember when we did All the Devil's Men, that had a bigger budget than this movie.
Excellent. That shows. Because this movie is obviously super low budget. They didn't even bother to record him talking twice. Like, I don't think they took cuts. I think he just read all of his voiceover at once. Because he'll say, well, that's when trouble always comes to me. It's wearing a little black dress with legs for days. And at the beginning, he says, I'm expat, X a lot of things, and just really poorly cut, like, which is right off the bat, the VO's bad.
And yet another movie where he's going after a woman young enough to at least be his daughter, possibly even granddaughter.
Yeah.
And she's completely sold on him. You know, she finds him attractive for some reason.
Very charming. Well, what's unclear? Here's the plot rundown. By the way, the plot is, he is like ex special forces, ex law enforcement, ex a lot of things, and
embarrass.
Yeah, he sees he's in France and he sees this French, maybe Eastern European, I don't know, gentleman assaulting a woman who is like implied to be a sex worker or something. And he does some karate on the guy and then murders him. Oh, and by the way, when he does the fighting, he's standing completely still. He's not doing anything.
That's correct. He's not doing Aikido at this point. The editing is doing Aikido.
Yes. And, and the stunt double, which is shot from the top of the blazer down. He He's like just standing completely still or sitting in a chair for every scene in this movie. It's crazy. The boyfriend is dead. His buddy is a cop, a French cop, and so the car gets impounded by the police, and he has to break into it to get $2 million that he's going to split with the girls so they can go to Key West together. And apparently there's an undertone in the film of can they trust each other, but that doesn't come across until you kind of realize the answer to that question at the very end of the film. They're trying
Why
for a
is
lot
there
of
a
tension.
voiceover, by the way? What does this add to the film?
Steven Seagal.
Okay.
Is it
Moving
because he
on.
did it? Is it because he did it in on Deadly Ground? This is just what I do now. I'm gonna take a T-shirt quote, cut it in two, have half at the start of the film and half at the end of the film.
My favorite line from this movie, I think, is the cop, the French cop who's his best friend. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like the guy in Taken, I guess. Maybe that's what they're trying to kind of copy. But they're sitting in an interrogation room, and he says, like, you got to tell me your side of the story. What'd the girl say? I can't tell you what she said. What she said, that's what I say. And the guy's like, how long have we known each other? And he's like, I remember when you were young, dumb, full of cum, and had a full head of hair. And that guy has a full head of hair, and it cuts to Steven Seagal, whose hairline is like 2 U's on the side of his head.
With his Lego haircut. Just snaps on in the morning.
But so much about this movie is weird. So because Steven Seagal can't even try to carry a movie, they have the alternate side of the story, which is the bad guys. So there's this overhead bad guy, Mr. Vargas, who's in Houston, Texas. I don't know why. No idea. And he has a minion in France whose name I don't know. Is it Gage? Or is Gage the other guy? I don't know. And then there's the young guy who Steven Seagal kills when the guy has a gun but tries to karate chop him. So the other bad guy is, I guess, supposed to be the cool bad guy, but he's not.
But the main bad guy, we just see in that in that dark room. So he's Native American, isn't he? So,
I thought he was Mexican.
I couldn't tell. Okay, I'll have to go back and check. I'll check who plays him now.
You want to go back and check something about this film again?
No, because when I saw the long hair tied back, I presumed I was just showing the other side of the argument from On Deadly Ground.
Oh my god,
they're not all saints.
They're mirroring each other hairstyle too. That it's like Michael Caine has the dyed hair. They both have ponytails. But the cool actiony bad guy who, when we meet him, is on the phone with his mom. I don't know if that's to give nuance. I don't understand the point of it. But when he's interrogating someone, he pulls out a knife and the guy gets scared, and that's how you know he's cool.
Do you want to know who played Mr. Vargas? It was unknown actor.
Ooh. That's great.
At the end of this cast, there's two named parts who are both played by unknown actors.
There's probably a thing that they're like, I will take the money, but I do not want my name on this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you don't see his face, do you? He's wearing a Stetson, and he takes it off and goes to look out the window. He's still long hair, but you don't actually see him.
You don't hear his voice. That's just somebody doing voiceover. There's no chance those two things are connected.
No.
Yeah.
It's probably Steven Seagal doing a racist voice or something.
That holds.
The bad guy, he kills a guy, but then he's like, but I'm going to go to another guy who actually stole from me because I need him to get me the vehicle. And that's sort of the tension there is Steven Seagal going to get... he learns about it because the girl comes to meet him in a cafe. And I say, girl, she's very young, inappropriately young to be attracted to Steven Seagal. But she's like, hey, we can go to my boyfriend's car and steal $2 million. And he's like, okay, I will do it for a movie plot. And when he goes to do the heist, she's like, I'm going to come with you. no, you're not coming with me. I'm gonna come with you. Okay, you come with me. And she just sits in the car. We never see her. She never does anything. And then they get home from the heist at the hotel and they have sex.
I'd like to point out because I'm just reading up on her. The girl is played by Jade Ewan. This is her only cinema thing, but if nothing else, she actually was in the Sugar Babes for 2 years before they disbanded. That's pretty much what she's known for.
Wow, she's one of the 20 people who've been in the Sugar Babes.
She was born in 88, so I think she would have been around sort of 28, 29, somewhere like that when she came out. So
she looks like a good actor compared to Steven Seagal.
Yes, but like a potato is a good actor compared to Steven Seagal. Like, I have socks that have more emotion than Steven Seagal, and better hairlines as well. So I'm not saying she's a bad actress. I'm just saying that it's fairly easy.
So I also forgot the bad guy has a friend, and he goes to the friend, and I don't know the friend's name, but the friend's like, hey, this is my cousin Pee-wee, and Pee-wee's like an Asian man for no reason, and the guy's French, his cousin is an Asian man, and he doesn't do anything and gets killed, and is in the movie for no reason.
By the way, the director of this is Keone Waxman. Do you want to know what else Keone Waxman has directed apart from this?
And aside from all of the other Seagal movies.
Yeah, he's directed 9 other movies with Seagal. Wow.
Slightly depressing.
Oh yeah. I don't get why this takes place in France. Like, I don't to make him cultured. I really don't understand. Maybe they're just copying Taken. I really don't get it.
The thing is, apparently it's not even filmed in France.
No, it's in Romania and New
and
Orleans
the US. So, like, I think it's just to give it a sense of exoticism. And I mean, the reason you do like a co-international production like this is essentially for tax breaks. But I don't know if that's just in Paris to make it seem better, and then you do the tax cuts with everywhere else that's better. Maybe they were planning to shoot it in France, but Romania gave them like better finances. I don't know.
But they also have like just French people as characters. The French cop has a wife named Delphine. He's like, "How's your wife?" And he says, "Don't worry, she's still hot." Basically. Like just every line.
Steven Seagal line ever,
Yeah, and
it's not even him delivering it.
There's also a point where the woman goes to the bad guys to like kind of save her life. She pretends. It seems like she pretends. I was getting the money back from Mr. Vargas, so he just takes her and he's gonna let her go if Steven Seagal brings back the money. And Steven Seagal shows up. And he's like, I already had sex with her, so like, there's no point in you doing anything. And it's so messed up. It doesn't make any sense. And then she sells him out at the end and is a bad guy, and he kills her in the last like moment of the film. And I guess it's supposed to be like film noir or something, but it's not. It's not at all.
No. It is just. I'm trying to come up with a pun for film noir to express how bad this is. Should have stayed in the shadows. I don't know.
Whatever the term for light is in French, it's film that.
I think at least the previous 2 films had some entertaining aspects intended or not to them, but this is just irredeemable. Basically, there's nothing.
I mean, this is direct to DVD or whatever it is, and it shows. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even one that kind of has decent thing and couldn't get distributed, so it had to go on to Prime, where sometimes you find the ones on Prime that's like, they actually have something in it.
It's
didn't get distribution.
It's cheap and it's retrograde, and it's really boring to cap it all off.
Well, and then just confounding. Like, this was made before AI was accessible to the average person. But it definitely seems like the part where the bad guy steps on a puppy, and then a lady comes up and is like, "Hey, that is Un Chien. What you doing?" And like, I don't understand why are they in a dog park? None of it makes sense. It's so dumb. And he's got 15, 20 movies just like this with an interchangeable title. The Good Man movie is about him saving a woman a lot like her from like sex trafficking, and then her daughter gets kidnapped or something. Like that's just what all his movies are about now. He's ex special forces saving a woman who is way too young for him to be talking to her.
Again, the trouble with Seagal is that, like, again, I'm gonna do the thing and read out every single Steven Seagal movie that he's been involved with, and they all sound exactly like you think a Steven Seagal movie should sound. So
it's like find and replace, kind of done by AI, basically, isn't it?
Above the law, hard to kill, marked for death, out for justice, under siege, on deadly ground, under siege 2, dark territory, executive decision, the Glimmer Man, fire down below, my giant, the Patriot, not even the trees. He is a producer, and then Prince of Central Park is a producer. Then we get back into the proper stuff. The path beyond thought, exit wounds, ticker, half past dead, the foreigner out for kill, belly of the beast out for reach, Clementine. Into the sun, submerged. Today you die. Dragon Squad, Black Dawn, Mercenary for like it just keeps going. Flight of Fury, Pistol Whipped, like Driven to Kill, Born to Raise Hell, Force of Execution. It just keeps going. Just stupid Contract to Kill, the perfect weapon. Like, shut up.
He's also, mixing between like producing it or writing it, but he has some hand of control in like, here's what my stupid role's going to be, and here's the stupid story. And it's all bad. It's all bad. He's not good at anything, and everything he touches is just god awful.
Yeah, like the names of the movies for Steven Seagal are like the same 3 chords are for Status Quo. They're exact same in every single song, and somehow they keep going and making money. Like, what is this? I don't understand it. At least Status Quo were good. Steven Seagal is not. And if I've learned anything else from revisiting him, it's that I still don't understand. I mean, if he was a good actor but an awful person, then you go, well, at least that's how he got his fame. And he's just abused.
Or even if his on-screen persona was just less generic, it's like I want some eccentricity that you get from like Nicolas Cage. You know, like Nicolas Cage, but he never does same performance twice.
He's goes all
fascinating on screen.
That's where it all comes back to what makes him like interesting. Really, is that he has such a bizarre fake persona that he has developed around himself that everyone knows is BS. Like, at one point you were a black belt in a martial art that nobody talks about as like a combat sport. And you managed to sell yourself to stupid people in the 80s when they were all doing coke, and then they stopped doing coke and realized, oh, this guy's the worst. And he's just been drifting off that little few years of success ever since.
And somehow it works for him, and now that he's in Russia, best mates with Putin, he doesn't have to do anything for the rest of his life pretty much, which he's 70, so hopefully, in the nicest way, hopefully it won't be that much longer. I don't wish anybody dead, but like, are we gonna say anything if he goes? Like, yay.
Yep.
Women are safe again to a certain extent. No, safer at least. Like, just so not good.
Yeah, no, he's the worst.
Yep.
The thing about like even in the movies where he's trying to be like, I'm this good guy, and he's with the women in these movies, he just feels like a sleazebag. Like, not knowing anything about that, he comes off as like, oh, he wrote this role so he could have a hot young actress with him, and like that's the point of the movie.
Like, no, thank you.
Yeah, he is more successful Tommy Wiseau, and I don't think Tommy Wiseau is like a bad person, so I don't mean that aspect of it, but in terms of being an artist, this is a point where you don't separate the art from the art. No one's saying that about Steven Seagal.
Well, the thing is, like, he kind of, there's parallels in terms of not the bad person, but the awful person to work with. There's somebody like Wesley Snipes. But at a certain point, at least Wesley Snipes in a couple of films can try and act. Like, he's good in Blade, you know, he's good in one
I
or two
think
other things. By the time
when
he
he's
gets to Blade
engaged
3,
with,
he was all
when he's engaged with the material, he's really good, Wesley Snipes. Yeah, and he's having a bit of a comeback the past few years. So yeah,
I was going to say, he's an absolute awful person to work with on set, but it's not
there's talent there. You know, when he
That's
wants
just
to
being
use it.
misused. Steven Seagal doesn't have anything.
People still watch Brad Pitt movies, and we all know about the airplane. Like, you know, there's just there's a level of talent that some people have that audiences frankly overlook, like their outside self and persona and celebrity.
It's just
So Seagal, anybody who's like, yeah, those early movies are good. No, they're not. They're not good.
No, they're not.
They're just as dumb, but more competent.
Yep. Yeah. Essentially because other people were making them and hiring Steven Seagal rather than Steven Seagal hiring other people to make them for him.
Yeah. Well, and like that's what's so crazy is 80s action movies were a thing, and he was the burning out like last bit of gas for that era of you know, making terrible big budget stupid action movies. And like now we have John Wick, so we don't have to watch this garbage anymore.
Woo!
Yeah.
Right. Let's stop talking about the ass hat now.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about something else instead of ass hats next week. But until then, fellas, where can people find you?
You can find me at SSP Thinks Film and at the Second Cut Pod Substack, where I think my latest post on that. What have I done? Did the Batman Begins review, and I've done something. I've done something since then. I can't remember.
Did you do the James Bond one yet?
No, but I reckon probably at some point we should do a Villeneuve episode at some point.
Probably.
Yeah. Maybe when the casting is announced as well, we can kind of combine. I think.
Nice.
Hopefully you don't find me anywhere if you do MK Judgmental in the various places. Last week I actually did manage to get out, so I've got reviews for Megan and the F1 movie, which feeds into last week's motorsport episode. Maybe I'll see something at some point. I don't know. Keep going. Maybe I'll actually write another video, another essay on something. So if anyone's got any topics, let me know. I'll see what I can do.
And you can find me at Jacob Film Guy. Sometimes I edit one of the reviews the other guys write.
He'll write something eventually.
I will. Yeah. You know what? Maybe I'll just finish watching all of Martin Scorsese's movies and rank them.
How many have you got left?
I don't know. I
Two
need
of
to
his
watch.
early ones.
Yeah, I need to watch like Boxcar Bertha, Color of Money. So just like random things. Yeah, but I did watch The Departed recently, and then can't remember what Sam said about it other than it shouldn't have won the Oscar.
Yep. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Anyway, so that's it. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.
Adios.
Goodbye.